Hello everybody and welcome to the Daily Splat. Today is the 7th in a 20 video series previewing each of the Premier League teams, and that means that we're under 2 weeks until the start of the Premier League season. In fact, next weekend there's the Community Shield match coming up, so that's pretty exciting just to get things going. Now, today's team that we're talking about, their season has already begun. We're talking, of course, about Fulham, who are currently taking part in the qualification rounds for the Europa League. Their first leg of their third qualifying round match ended 0-0 recently, so it'll be interesting to see how they progress, but we're only talking about them in a Premier League capacity here, so let's get cracking. Now, Fulham obviously ended the season doing relatively well. There was some concern earlier in the season that they might get dragged into the relegation battle, but they pulled themselves out of it. And then at the end of the season, Mark Hughes left. He'd only been in charge for a year. He said, "I'm moving on." A lot of people expected that he would be taking over either Aston Villa or possibly even Chelsea, where there were vacant manager positions. As it is, he has gone to neither, as those positions have been filled by Alex McLeish and Andreas Villas-Boas, respectively. So they needed to replace him. So they brought in Martin Jol. Now, Martin Jol was originally Fulham's first choice 12 months ago, before they brought in Mark Hughes, but he decided to stay on at Ajax. However, since then, Jol is no longer the manager of Ajax. He was available, he's come in, and he's started work already. Some of that work has been getting rid of a few players, including Zoltan Gera and John Pansel. They're among the unlucky players to have been told that they may leave. Now, no idea the exact reason for it, other than I suppose that Martin Jol doesn't fancy them. He's also sent the young promising goalkeeper Stockdale out on loan to Ipswich Town, so basically he'll be playing a full season down in the Championship, so they're sticking with Mark Schwarzer at least. In terms of players they've brought in, so far the only notable inclusion is the former Liverpool fullback John Arne Riise, who was playing in Italy for Roma. He's now back in the Premier League playing for Fulham, and I think he is a very, very shrewd signing to play in a Fulham defence which already has some very good players, including the excellent Brede Hangeland. Now, for Fulham to succeed in, well, what is success for Fulham this season? Is it avoiding relegation? Is it pushing to qualify for Europe via, the finishing 7th or 8th or doing well in a cup competition, rather than how they've qualified for the Europa League this year, at least the qualifying stages, by winning the Fair Play award? That is the ambition for Fulham. However, I feel that success for them would be a top half finish. However, I don't think it's going to happen, simply because there are better teams than them out there. Now, Martin Jol is a very good manager. We saw that with Tottenham Hotspurs. He managed to do quite well with them. Now he's coming into Fulham. He's got to use all of his expertise to bring in the sort of players that Fulham need. Obviously, they need a forward, I would argue, is their main thing. You can't rely on Andrew Johnson, Bobby Zamora or Dembele, simply because all three of them have suffered major injuries in the recent past and are prone to these sort of injuries. Also, they're not exactly strikers that are going to strike fear into opposition defenders. Bobby Zamora, certainly, on his day, can be quite dangerous. Dembele showed flashes last season. Johnson isn't the player he used to be, though, so they definitely need a forward, and that will be the key thing for them. Obviously, it also depends on how many finances are opened up to the club, what sort of players they can bring in. I think, ultimately, for Fulham, this first year under Martin Jol is all about consolidation. It's about not getting dragged into a relegation scrap, and it's about finishing as close to the top half of the table as they can. If they could finish in the top 10, 8th, 9th or 10th, I think certainly within their capabilities, then that would be a big success for Martin Jol. However, I think he just needs to settle in and basically build up to making his team into a team that can challenge for those European spots next season. Now, of course, I'm not saying the season's a complete waste. Go for the cups, as you'd imagine them to do. By all means, I just can't really see Fulham doing much this season, I'm afraid. I think they're going to finish 14th, is where they came out in my prediction table, but honestly, anywhere between 11th and 15th is where I reckon they'll finish. I don't think they'll be dragged into the relegation scrap as such. I think they'll steer clear of that for the majority of the season, but I don't think that they're going to be doing anything special, which is unfortunate, but you know, that is just my opinion. Of course, it could all change tomorrow. They could announce that they've signed Lionel Messi's younger brother, John, who's twice as good. You know, it's unlikely, but mostly because I don't think Lionel Messi has a younger brother named John. But you know, you get what I mean. It will be interesting to see what Yol does in this next month of transfer windows. But with the squad as it currently is, I can't really see it doing anything, despite the fact they do have good players like Schwarzer in nets, like Hangeland, like Dempsey. You know, they have got some good players, but I just don't think it's going to be enough to do anything special. Okay, that's it for today. Join me tomorrow for our 8th video, which is on Liverpool, and they certainly have had an interesting summer so far. So that is good to look forward to. Okay, that is all for today. I will speak to you all tomorrow. Bye.